So, um, the point of this is to demonstrate this tool. Um, and the idea is I want to get a kind of simple shape into ZBrush uh, and be able to, like I don't want to have to create all these supporting edge loops like you would, and then you kind of can smooth it. And I it can kind of be tedious depending on the shapes. So I've decided to kind of get into the creases, which I put off for forever. Um, and this tool just kind of facilitates that. And basically, what it's going to do is um, I'm going to use a different visualization process than the Maya creases, and then also it's going to break up the meshes uh, into like based on their UVs and use that to recreate the creases inside ZBrush where I had some trouble using GoZ. It would like uh, it wanted to affect the scale, and I don't know what the exact deal was, but I kind of hacked around it. Um, so I'll just go through this stuff. So if I set this edge to be a soft edge, um, this first button will sort of visualize that. And it's just a built-in thing. If you just shift right click, go down to this little menu, it's this same little function. Um, so what I'll my normal process will be I'll go around and I'll try and decide what edges do I want creased and what do I want to be which ones do I want to not be creased, and all the hard edges will be creased. So right now you can see that it has no effect. The fact that I've changed these soft edges has no effect on the creases. This third little button, you run that, and then it's gonna convert. It's gonna do a conversion. Basically, it grabs all the edges, converts all of the hard vertex normals to creases, and then you get this result. The second one is actually going to turn off this thick, um, which I would like to figure out how to kind of build it in. I hate when it shows up like that, but you can just toggle it back off or on if you like it. I don't like it. I don't like to look at it that way. Um, and since I'm not really using the creases, this I just prefer to turn it off. This fourth one is it ups the smoothing level. If you come into the attribute editor, um, mesh, no, smooth mesh, you have this control over it, and it will basically increase the quality of the smoothing. Um, and that's all it does. It just turns it up. It looks a little better. Um, and then the second one, sometimes if you had a lot of objects, it might slow down the machine, and I might turn them down just for the performance. Okay, so now I'm at this point, and I also want to point out that um, if I wanted to, change it, I have to. So I want to change these objects back to being hard again, or those two edges. I have to run this again. So it's a minor thing, but yeah, it's important. So you have to run it. You have to, press the button again, and move on. So then, if I want to, when I want to export, when I'm ready to export to ZBrush, you run this command, and sometimes it takes a second. Like I'll have like a spaceship or something. I'll select them all, run it, and it might take a couple seconds because it breaks up all the UVs. It's got to run through every mesh. It might just take a second or two. This little export tool, I actually downloaded from Creative Crash, and I just included it within the script because it's really useful when I have a bunch of different objects to um, to export and to import. Let's see. So now I'm gonna do cube test. export it, go into ZBrush. Problem. So I've imported as an OBJ, and so I forget where it is, but it's actually this UV group crease, and it's in here somewhere. I'll have to look it up and get back to you. And it does that, and and so I haven't created any subdivisions. I'm just using the dynamic. If you just press D, it just does that dynamic sub D thing. And a good tip is to come to geometry, dynamic sub D, and you can actually increase this so that it looks a little smoother. I mean, not that that's really important. So right, that's it. Um, Now I was gonna show another example of a, a kind of more typical situation where I have more pieces. Um, so so I have the object. I run the command and it's running. Um, so now I will rename all these pieces. Um, and export them. Then go into ZBrush, and so I'm going to use this multi-append, and it's a little quirky. It's cool that you can import a bunch of meshes at the same time, but you have to have, you can't just, you have to basically have an object in there. So I use this, this sphere or whatever, and and then I don't know, this thing is under Subtool Master, multi-append, and that's cool because it'll let me, bring in all these pieces at one time, or it's gonna load them in one at a time. But if you have a lot of objects, you don't want to, have to do them one at a time. Um, okay, so the actual little sphere also, it's important to point out that it will break the script. So I gotta delete that. Um, okay, so now I'm gonna load the script. Um, Z script load. And it'll pop up here under Z plugin, custom buttons. It's gonna run through and run the command for the, um, kind of converting the polygroups to creases, and then you press D and you see the result. This is not the best. Right. Okay. Um, Actually, so uh, I find at this point in the process, usually I'm kind of, part of the whole reason I'm doing this is so that I can kind of get in here and tweak on the design and the shapes. And usually at this point, I really would like to have everything in one subtool. So I will often do a merge, turn on the UVs so that I keep my polygroups, and it should pop up. Let's see. I think I pressed the wrong thing. It would be merge visible. Oh, okay. So there's the ship. Now I can, when I just I haven't created any subdivisions, but I just press a D, and it does that dynamic sub D thing. Um, Reason for that, instead of creating the regular subdivisions, is I'm not going to get too much into sculpting. I'm basically at this point just pushing pieces around, and the dynamic the dynamic subdivisions is kind of good for that. And then also in some cases, I will want to come in with Z Modeler and edit the creases. Let's see. So like, let me look for an example. Well, whatever, right? So if I wanted to make these soft, whoa, what did I do? Oh, it wasn't creases. Um, make these soft or whatever, you know. Y- and I would be able to, because often sometimes you just miss something, I just want to do a little tweaking like that. So if you have subdivision, modeler tool will cry. Um, okay, so now I have everything as one shape, and I often switch between like the move topological because it's kept my or if you've done the steps the way I have, you will have these symmetrical polygroups, and so the move topological will allow you to kind of control those to edit things like individually, where I just want to move this piece or this piece or this piece, and then also and then I'll switch back to the regular move tool where I can maybe change the overall kind of shape. And what I like about this process and kind of the whole point of it is to sort of explore ideas where I already have this like base geometry that's a spaceship, and relatively quickly I can just do like a bunch of kind of variations. And yeah, I might kind of jack up the geometry a little bit. It might not be perfect, but I'm not really that worried about it right now. I'm completely 100% intending to. I know that I'm gonna end up working on that again in Maya. So like there's one little ship. Uh, there's one. Let's see. And I'm going to save these as Maya files. It will like let me import my creases back into Maya. Um, let's see, should export 8. So there's one, let's say, and then maybe I'll make a skinnier, wider one. Export that one. I mean, I will obviously spend more time on it. This is just kind of the the rough idea. Um, and maybe just get a little stupid. Anyways, I think the idea is demonstrated. Um, but so there's one stupid ship. But it's kind of cool in that relatively quickly, you can kind of explore these ideas and stuff. Um, that's the point. Okay, right. So now if I wanted to get back into my kind of workflow, Um, gonna copy the script back in. Um, so I actually need to add this. I haven't added this piece into the UI, but the conversion back. So this is gonna. So inside of ZBrush, it's exported everything as actual creases. So if I want to go back to using my polygroups, I'm converting the. I mean, if I want to go back to using the vertex normals from my visualization, then I want to convert all the creases back to vertex normals, and that's what that one does. So now you can see I'm pretty much this shader that gets imported kind of sucks. Um, but now I can run the preview again, turn the smoothing on, and bump it up. It's weird. Oh yeah, so it is actually crying about. I think it's the naming thing. Yeah. So it was giving me an error, and I think if there's like a duplicate name, it will some of that one command will kind of get hung up. But right, so now I'm back here, and I could kind of just carry on with my designing and stuff. So that's it. It ended up being way too long, but